The large meeting hall buzzed with voices. Beings from 100 different worlds talked, argued, and made deals. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms, a few even floated above the ground instead of walking. Commander Taiho Kim stood tall among them. He was one of only 2 humans at this year's Galactic Summit. He wore the dark blue uniform of the Korean Space Defense Force with pride. Gold pins on his collar showed his rank. "Commander, they're staring again," said Lieutenant Jisoo Park. She walked next to him, her steps quick and light. "Let them stare," Taeho said. "We have as much right to be here as they do." Jisoo nodded, but her eyes kept moving, watching the aliens around them. It was only her second summit, and she still felt out of place. Humans were the new kids in space. While other races had traveled between stars for thousands of years, humans had only done it for a few hundred. The older races called themselves the Galactic Confederation. They let humans join but never fully accepted them. "The Artaxian delegate wants to meet with you," Jisoo said, checking her datapad. "Says it's about the new trade routes near Saturn." Taeho sighed. The Artaxians were tall, gray-skinned aliens with 3 eyes. They acted friendly but always tried to get the better end of any deal. "Tell him we'll meet after the main session," Taeho said. They walked into the main chamber where rows of seats circled a central speaking area. Taeho and Jisoo took their seats in the human section, which was smaller than most others. The summit leader, a 4-armed Meridian, was about to start the day's talks when a small alarm sounded from Jisoo's datapad. She looked down, confused. Then her face went pale. "Commander," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Something's wrong." Taeho leaned closer. "What is it?" "Earth's beacon just went offline." "Check again. It's probably just a signal problem." Jisoo's fingers moved quickly across her screen. "It's not just the main beacon. All of them. Every signal from Earth just stopped." Taeho felt a cold weight in his stomach. Earth had dozens of space beacons sending out signals at all times. They couldn't all fail at once unless something terrible had happened. He was about to respond when his own datapad lit up with a message. It was from the captain of their ship, the only human vessel at the summit. "Urgent. All Earth signals lost. No response to communications. Requesting immediate return of all personnel." The summit leader had begun speaking, but Taeho wasn't listening anymore. He looked around the room and noticed something strange. Several alien delegates were looking at their own devices. Some whispered to each other. A few were looking directly at the human section. They knew. Somehow they already knew about Earth. "We need to leave," he whispered to Jisoo. "Now." As they stood to exit quietly, a voice called out from across the chamber. "Commander Kim," said Delegate Zor of the Artaxians. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "Leaving so soon? The session has barely begun." The room went quiet. All eyes turned to the humans. "We received an urgent message from our ship," Taeho said, keeping his voice steady. "About Earth, perhaps?" Zor asked. His mouth curved in what might have been a smile on a human face, but on an Artaxian looked threatening. "How unfortunate that your homeworld has gone silent." A chill ran through Taeho. How did they know so quickly? And why did Zor sound almost pleased? "We are investigating a communications issue," Taeho said firmly. "Now if you'll excuse us." "A communications issue?" Another voice spoke up. It was Delegate Mirak of the Volturi, a species known for their bluntness. "All transmissions from an entire planet don't simply stop because of a communications issue. Something has happened to Earth." Whispers filled the room. Taeho noticed some delegates moving away from the human section, as if they might be dangerous or contaminated. "Perhaps," said the summit leader, "the human delegation should remain here while we discuss this development. It could affect all Confederation members." Taeho felt trapped. They were being detained, not so subtly. "With respect," he said loudly, "this is an internal human matter. We need to contact our colonies and coordinate our response." "Of course," said Zor smoothly. "But surely you understand our concern." If some disaster has befallen Earth, we should discuss aid efforts, or containment measures if necessary. The way he said containment made Taeho's blood run cold. Jisoo leaned close to him. "Commander," she whispered, "I'm getting more data. It's not just communication signals. All Earth-based stellar beacons, navigation points, everything, they all went dark at exactly the same time. That was impossible without a coordinated attack, or something worse." "We are leaving," Taeho announced, no longer asking permission. "Lieutenant Park, with me." They moved toward the exit, but two Meridian security officers stepped in front of the door. "Please remain for the discussion, Commander," the summit leader said. "We must follow protocols for potentially unstable situations." Taeho looked around the room. Faces that had been neutral or even friendly just hours ago now showed suspicion, fear, or calculation. In that moment, he understood. Earth wasn't just their homeworld. It was the center of human government, the heart of their military, their main industrial base. If something had happened to Earth, the other species wouldn't rush to help. They would take advantage. "Jisoo," he said quietly. "Emergency exit plan Theta." She nodded slightly, her hand moving to her side where a small stunner was hidden under her uniform jacket. "Respected delegates," Taeho said loudly, "the Korean Space Defense Force thanks you for your concern. But now we must." Jisoo moved, fast, pulling out the stunner and firing at the ceiling. A bright flash and loud bang filled the room. It wasn't deadly, just enough to cause confusion. In the chaos, they sprinted for the service door at the side of the chamber. Shouts and orders filled the air behind them. They ran through the back corridors of the summit building, taking the route they had memorized during their security checks. "Send a message to the ship," Taeho ordered as they ran. "Tell them to prepare for emergency departure." "Authorization code Kim 7 Delta 9. "Already done," Jisoo said, "but Commander, where will we go? If Earth is really gone—" "Earth isn't gone," Taeho said firmly. "Something has happened, but we'll find out what. And we need to warn the colonies. I don't trust our allies anymore." They reached the landing pad where their small diplomatic vessel waited. The pilot had already started the engines. As they ran up the ramp, alarm sirens began to sound throughout the summit complex. "Get us out of here now," Taeho ordered as they reached the bridge. The ship lifted off, accelerating quickly away from the summit station. On the screens, they could see Confederation security vessels beginning to move. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said, ordering us to return to the summit station immediately. "Ignore them," Taeho ordered. "Set course for the Proxima Centauri colony. Maximum speed once we clear the station's defensive perimeter." As their ship raced away, Taeho looked at the communication displays. Where there should have been constant signals from Earth, there was nothing but empty static. "What happened to you?" he whispered, staring at the blank screen. Behind them, the first Confederation ships began their pursuit. 3 months had passed since Earth went silent. Captain Do-Yun Choi stood on the bridge of the HSV Dauntless, looking out at the stars. The ship was one of the last large human military vessels still operating as a single unit. Many others had broken into smaller groups or gone into hiding. "Status report," Do-Yun said, his voice firm but tired. Dark circles showed under his eyes. He hadn't slept well since the silence began. "All systems normal, Captain," said his first officer. "We're approaching the Proxima Centauri outpost, or what's left of it." Do-Yun nodded. The outpost had been abandoned weeks ago after news of Earth's silence spread. Without Earth Central Command and support, many smaller human bases couldn't survive on their own. The Dauntless moved slowly toward the space station floating around Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth's sun. It looked dead and dark, spinning gently in the empty space. "Any signs of life?" Do-Yun asked. "No, sir. No power readings. No heat signatures," said the sensor officer. "It's completely abandoned." "What about other ships?" "Nothing in range, sir. But our long-range scanners picked up some Meridian vessels about 6 hours away. They seem to be salvaging materials from the outer parts of the system." Do-Yun frowned. The Meridians had been quick to move into areas humans had left. They called it securing potentially hazardous technology. But everyone knew they were simply taking what they wanted, now that humans were weakened. "We'll make this quick," Do-Yun said. "Send in the search team. Look for any useful supplies, data logs, or survivors, though I doubt we'll find anyone still here." As the search team prepared to board the abandoned outpost, communications specialist Song Yi-han called out from her station. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange." Do-Yun walked over to her station. "What is it?" It's an Earth signal, sir." The bridge went silent. Everyone turned to look. "That's impossible," Do-Yun said. "Earth has been silent for 3 months. Show me." Song Yi pointed to her screen where a faint signal pattern blinked. "It's very weak, sir, and it's not coming from Earth directly. It seems to be bouncing between old relay points, almost like it's been hidden in the background noise. Can you clean it up? Get any information from it?" Song Yi's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. "It's heavily encrypted, sir, but I think I can extract parts of it." The bridge crew waited as Song Yi worked. Minutes passed. Do-Yun could feel his heart beating faster. This was the first hint that perhaps Earth wasn't completely lost. "I've got something," Song Yi finally said. "Audio only, and it's broken up." "Play it," Do-Yun ordered. A crackling voice came through the speakers. "Operation Blackout. Phase 1 complete deliberate withdrawal. Prepare for the 17 years until. Do not attempt to maintain silence." Then it was gone. "That's all I could get, sir," Song Yi said. "It keeps repeating, hidden in the regular space noise." Do-Yun thought hard about what he'd heard. "Operation Blackout? Deliberate withdrawal, what does that mean?" "Sir," his first officer said, "are they saying Earth's silence was planned?" Before Do-Yun could answer, the alarm sounded. "Captain, 3 ships just appeared on long-range scanners," the sensor officer reported. "Coming in fast from the outer system." "Confederation ships?" "No, sir. The first one looks like it's a human transport vessel. The other 2 are Artaxian hunters in pursuit." Do-Yun straightened up. "Battle stations. Set intercept course. Prepare main weapons." The crew jumped into action as the Dauntless turned and accelerated toward the distant ships. "Sir, should we really get involved?" the first officer asked quietly. "Our orders were to avoid conflict and preserve our strength." "Those orders assumed Earth was destroyed," Do-Yun said firmly. "If there's even a chance it wasn't, if Earth went silent on purpose, then we need to protect every human we can find. They might have information." Minutes later, they could see the chase on their main screen. A small, battered transport ship was flying at full speed, with 2 sleek Artaxian hunter ships close behind. The hunters were firing warning shots, trying to force the transport to stop. "Open a channel," Do-Yun ordered. "Channel open, sir. Artaxian vessels, this is Captain Do-Yun Choi of the HSV Dauntless. You are pursuing a ship in territory still claimed by humanity. Break off your attack immediately." There was a pause before a reply came. "Human vessel, this does not concern you. The ship we pursue contains criminals wanted by the Confederation. Stand down or face consequences." Do-Yun looked at his weapons officer. "Target their engines. Fire warning shots." The Dauntless's main guns fired, sending bright energy bolts across the path of the Artaxian ships. The hunters swerved to avoid the shots. "This is your final warning," Do-Yun said into the comm. "Leave now, or we will destroy you." For a moment it seemed like the Artaxians might fight. Then suddenly, they turned and sped away. "They're retreating, sir," the sensor officer reported. "Artaxians don't usually give up so easily," Do-Yun said, suspicious. "Keep an eye on them. They might call for backup." The Dauntless approached the human transport ship, which was now slowing down. "They're hailing us, sir," Song Yi said. "Put them through." A tired female voice came through the speakers. "Dauntless, thank you for your help. This is Captain Yuna Lee of the Transport Horizon. We have 57 refugees on board from the Newton Research Station. The Artaxians have been hunting us for days." "Glad we could help," Do-Yun replied. "We can escort you to safe harbor. Do you need medical assistance?" "Yes, we have some injured, and We have someone on board you should meet. A scientist from the Newton station. He says he knows why Earth went silent. Do-Yun's breath caught. Bring your ship alongside. We'll send a medical team and prepare for your passengers. An hour later, Do-Yun stood in the Dauntless's meeting room. Across from him sat a thin man with tired eyes and messy hair. His clothes were worn and stained, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. Dr. Yunho Lee, the man introduced himself. Head physicist at Newton Research Station. Or I was, until the Artaxians destroyed it 3 weeks ago. They said you know something about Earth, Do-Yun said. About why it went silent. Dr. Lee looked around the room cautiously. What I know could put everyone here in danger. Are you sure you want to hear it? We've been in the dark for 3 months. Anything you know would help. Dr. Lee leaned forward. Earth wasn't attacked, it wasn't destroyed. The silence was deliberate. How can you be sure? Because I helped design part of the technology they used, Dr. Lee said. Project Eclipse. It was supposed to be just a defensive measure, a way to hide our ships from enemy scanners, but they adapted it, expanded it to a planetary scale. Are you saying Earth is hiding? Dr. Lee nodded. Not just hiding, preparing. Before he could say more, the ship's alarm sounded again. Captain, to the bridge, a voice called over the speakers. When they reached the bridge, the first officer pointed to the screen. Sir, we're receiving a coded transmission on a secure human military channel. It's an invitation, coordinates for a meeting. From who? It's signed by Admiral Ha-Jun Kang. Do-Yun's eyes widened. Admiral Kang was Earth's highest military commander. 2 days later, the Dauntless arrived at the coordinates, an asteroid field deep in a remote star system. Hidden among the rocks was a sight that made the entire crew gasp. Dozens of human ships, from small fighters to large cruisers, all gathered around a makeshift space station built into the largest asteroid. As they docked, Admiral Kang himself met them at the airlock. His uniform was not as neat as it once had been, but he still stood tall and proud. Captain Choi, he said, shaking Do-Yun's hand. Welcome to Sanctuary Base. I'm glad you found us. Admiral, Do-Yun said, saluting. We thought you were on Earth when it went silent. Admiral Kang smiled slightly. I was, until the last moment. He looked at the refugees from the transport ship, especially Dr. Lee. You've brought us valuable allies. Come, we have much to discuss. As they walked through the hidden base, Do-Yun saw hundreds of humans working, training, preparing. Sir, Do-Yun finally asked, what happened to Earth? Admiral Kang stopped and turned to face him. Earth didn't fall, Captain. Earth is preparing. And now, so must we all. 1 year had passed since Earth went silent. The scattered human survivors had formed a loose network called the Diaspora Coalition. They shared resources, information, and protection when possible. Mi-Ray Yang sat alone in a small, dimly lit room deep inside an abandoned mining station. The station orbited a lifeless moon in a forgotten star system. It wasn't pretty, but it was safe from prying alien eyes. Mi-Ray was an intelligence officer. Before Earth's silence, she had worked for the Korean Intelligence Agency. Now she worked for whoever was left. Screens surrounded her, showing data stolen from Confederation ships and outposts. For months she had been gathering pieces of a puzzle. Today she finally had enough to see the full picture. You've been in here for 16 hours, said a voice from the doorway. You should eat something. Mi-Ray turned to see Captain Hyun-Woo Kang, the leader of this small outpost. He held a tray of food. I found something, Mi-Ray said, ignoring the food. Something important. Hyun-Woo put down the tray and walked over. What is it? Mi-Ray pointed to the main screen. Look at these reports. All from different Confederation species, different times, different places. The screen showed a list of incidents. A human colony ship's engine failure near Tau Ceti, a farming planet's crop disease, a space station's life support malfunction. What am I looking at? Hyun-Woo asked. Sabotage, Mi-Ray said firmly. All of these were blamed on accidents, bad luck, or natural causes. But when you put them together and look at the timing, she pressed a button and the events rearranged by date. Every time humans made a big step forward, something went wrong. she continued. Every time we started to become too independent. From Confederation help, disaster struck. Hyun-woo frowned. You're saying the Confederation has been working against us? For how long? Centuries, Mireille said. Since we first met them. They never wanted us as equals. They wanted us controlled. She pulled up another screen showing ship movements from the weeks before Earth's silence. And look at this. Our Taxian and Volturi warships were moving toward Earth's system just before all signals stopped. Not the actions of concerned allies. Hyun-woo stared at the data. They were planning to attack Earth? Why? Fear, Mireille said simply. Humans were advancing too quickly. Despite all their sabotage, we kept finding solutions, making new technologies. The Confederation species take thousands of years to develop what we did in hundreds. They saw us as a threat. Hyun-woo sat down heavily. So, Earth was attacked after all. All this hope that it was some secret plan. I didn't say that, Mireille cut in. I found something else. She pulled up a classified message intercepted from Confederation military channels. They're still looking for Earth, she said. They don't know what happened either. Listen to this. Continue search patterns in Sector 7. The human homeworld could not have been destroyed without debris. It could not have moved without being detected. Yet it is no longer where it should be. Hyun-woo's eyes widened. So Earth is gone? But not destroyed? Exactly, Mireille said. And I think I know who can tell us how that's possible. 3 days later, Mireille's small scout ship approached a secret research facility hidden inside an asteroid belt. The facility was one of many places where humans had continued their work after Earth's silence. This is Scout Ship Whisper requesting permission to dock, Mireille said into the comm. After a long pause, a cautious voice replied, Identify yourself and state your business. Intelligence Officer Mireille Yang. I need to speak with Dr. Jin-Woo Bae. It's about Project Eclipse. Another long pause. Then, approach docking bay 3. Any aggressive moves will result in immediate defensive action. Mireille's ship docked without trouble. When she stepped out, 6 armed guards were waiting. This way, one said simply. They led her through narrow corridors until they reached a laboratory. Inside, a man with gray-streaked hair was working at a complex machine. He didn't look up when they entered. Dr. Jin-Woo Bae? Mireille asked. The man still didn't look up. I'm busy. Whatever you want, make it quick. I want to know how you made Earth disappear. That got his attention. Jin-Woo turned, his tired eyes suddenly sharp. Who are you? Someone who's put the pieces together, Mireille said. Project Eclipse wasn't just for ships, was it? You scaled it up. Way up. Jin-Woo studied her for a long moment, then nodded to the guards. Leave us. When they were alone, he sighed deeply. What do you know? I know the Confederation was planning to attack Earth. I know Earth didn't just cut communications. It vanished. And I know you were Earth's leading physicist working on phase shift technology. Jin-Woo walked to a small cabinet and took out 2 cups and a bottle. He poured a drink for each of them. You're right, he said, handing her a cup. Project Eclipse was designed to hide ships by shifting them slightly out of normal space-time, just enough to be invisible to sensors but still present. He took a drink, then continued. When Earth's leaders discovered the Confederation's plans to attack, they needed a solution fast. They asked if Eclipse could be scaled up to cover an entire planet. And you said yes, Mireille finished. Jin-Woo laughed without humor. I said it was impossible. Then I figured out how to do it anyway. He walked to a computer and pulled up a complex diagram. We built thousands of phase shift devices around Earth, all synchronized to activate at the exact same moment. The power requirements were enormous. We had to use every reactor on the planet working together. So Earth is where exactly? Mireille asked. Right where it's always been, Jin-Woo said. Just slightly out of phase with normal space. You could fly right through where it should be and never see it. The phase shift also blocks all signals from getting in or out. Mireille thought about this. Why not tell the colonies? Why let everyone think Earth was gone? Security, Jinwoo said simply. If we told anyone, the Confederation might find out, and the plan only works if they think Earth is truly gone. Besides, the phase shift was experimental. We didn't know if it would work long-term. And has it? Jinwoo nodded. So far. But it was never meant to be permanent. The original plan was to stay hidden for 5 years while building up defenses. But I recently received a coded message that the timeline has changed. Now it's 17 years. Mireille was about to ask why when alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. What's happening? She shouted over the noise. Jinwoo ran to the door. We're under attack. In the corridor, people were running in all directions. A voice over the speakers ordered everyone to evacuation points. Who is it? Mireille asked a passing guard. Confederation ships, he replied. Came out of nowhere. Dozens of them. Mireille turned to Jinwoo. We need to get you out of here. Your knowledge is too important. They ran toward the docking bays, pushing against the crowd of panicking scientists and workers. Above them, the station shook as weapons hit its outer hull. My research, Jinwoo suddenly said, stopping. I can't leave it for them to find. There's no time. Mireille pulled at his arm. There's a data core in my lab. It has everything about Project Eclipse. If they get it, Mireille made a quick decision. Where is it? I'll get it. You get to my ship. Jinwoo gave her directions to a small safe in his lab. Mireille ran back while he continued to the docking bay. In the lab, Mireille found the safe and quickly opened it, using the code Jinwoo had given her. Inside was a small glowing data cube. She grabbed it and ran. The station shook again, harder this time. Lights flickered. Mireille had to dodge falling debris as she made her way back to the docking bay. She found Jinwoo waiting at her ship. Together, they strapped in as Mireille prepared for launch. Will your research fit in this? She asked, holding up the data cube. Jinwoo nodded. Everything important. I was preparing to send it to the other research stations anyway. The Confederation has been getting too close lately. They launched, flying out of the docking bay just as larger explosions began to tear the station apart. Mireille piloted them away at full speed. We need to warn the others, Jinwoo said. If they found this station, they might find the others, too. Mireille nodded and sent an encrypted message to the Diaspora Coalition leadership. She included a brief summary of what she had learned about Project Eclipse. Will they believe it? Jinwoo asked. That Earth chose to disappear? That it's coming back someday? Mireille looked at him. They'll believe it because it gives them hope, and hope is what humans need right now. As their small ship sped away from the destroyed station, Mireille felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. Earth hadn't abandoned its children. It had protected them by hiding, and someday it would return. 17 years, she said quietly. What happens then? Jinwoo smiled for the first time. Then Earth speaks again, and the galaxy will listen. 3 years had passed since Earth disappeared. What began as scattered human survivors had grown into a determined resistance. Commander Jun Seo-yoon stood on the bridge of the HSV Phantom, his stealth carrier. The ship was not large, but it was fast and nearly impossible to detect. It was perfect for Jun Seo's mission, to hit the Confederation where it hurt most. Status report, Jun Seo said, his voice calm despite the danger they faced. All systems ready, Commander, replied his second in command. The target station is just ahead. Their defenses are active, but they haven't spotted us yet. Jun Seo nodded. The target was an Artaxian fuel depot that supplied their military ships. Without it, Confederation patrols in this sector would be forced to withdraw. Begin attack sequence, Jun Seo ordered. Remember, we hit hard and fast, then disappear before their reinforcements arrive. The Phantom moved silently toward the station, its special engines leaving no energy trail to follow. This technology, reverse-engineered from Dr. Jinwoo Bei's Project Eclipse research, had changed the way humans fought. In range, the weapons officer reported. Ready to fire. Fire, Jun Seo commanded. Bright energy beams shot from the Phantom, striking the fuel depot's main tanks. Explosions bloomed in the silence of space. Alarms began to flash on the Artaxian station. Second volley, Junseo ordered. Target their communication array. More beams struck the station, destroying its ability to call for help. Sir, enemy. Fighters launching, the sensor officer warned. As expected, Junseo said calmly. Prepare phase shift. The crew worked quickly at their stations. The Phantom had been equipped with a smaller version of the technology that had hidden Earth. It couldn't stay shifted for long, only a few minutes, but that was enough. Phase shift ready, the engineering officer announced. Engage. A soft hum filled the ship as the phase shift activated. The Phantom slightly moved out of normal space, not enough to disappear completely, but enough that enemy sensors and weapons couldn't lock onto it. On the main screen, Junseo watched the Artaxian fighters fly right past them, their pilots confused as the human ship seemed to fade from their instruments. Shift holding stable, the engineering officer reported. 2 minutes until we need to return to normal space. Good. Set course away from the station full speed, Junseo ordered. The Phantom moved swiftly away while the Artaxian fighters continued searching in the wrong area. By the time the Phantom had to drop its phase shift, it would be too far away. To detect, Junseo allowed himself a small smile. 3 years ago, such a mission would have been a suicide run. Now it was almost routine. The humans were learning to fight in new ways, ways the Confederation had never seen before. Message coming in from command, the communications officer announced. Top priority. Put it through to my station, Junseo said. He read the message quickly, then looked up at his crew. Change of plans. We're being redirected to Science Station. Alpha. Urgent pickup required. The crew looked surprised. Science Station Alpha was their most important research base where the brightest human minds worked on new technologies. Problem, sir? His second-in-command asked. Not sure, Junseo replied. The message just says they need immediate transport for a key researcher and a new prototype device. Whatever it is, command considers it critical. 2 days later, the Phantom approached Science Station Alpha. The station was hidden inside a dense asteroid field that most ships couldn't navigate safely. The Phantom's advanced sensors made it possible, but still difficult. We've been cleared to dock at Base 7, the pilot reported. As the ship connected to the station, Junseo went to meet their passenger. At the airlock, he found a small woman, waiting with several large crates of equipment. Engineer Sumin Kwon? He asked. She nodded. Her eyes looked tired but determined. Yes. Thank you for coming so quickly, Commander. We need to get this equipment to the main fleet as soon as possible. What exactly is this equipment? Junseo asked as station workers began loading the crates onto his ship. Sumin looked around to make sure no one else was listening. A communication disruptor. If it works, it could change everything about how we fight the Confederation. Before she could explain further, alarms began blaring throughout the station. A voice over the speakers shouted, Alert! Confederation! Ships detected approaching. This is not a drill. All personnel to emergency stations. Junseo ran to a nearby comm panel. Bridge, report. His second-in-command responded immediately. Sir, multiple Artaxian warships approaching fast. They must have followed us somehow. Impossible, Junseo said. Our phase shift technology may have been compromised, Sumin cut in. We've detected unusual scanning patterns from Artaxian ships recently. They might be finding ways to track the energy signature when ships return from phase shift. Junseo made a quick decision. Complete loading immediately, we leave in 5 minutes. Over the next few minutes, chaos erupted on the station. Scientists rushed to save their research data. Security teams prepared defensive positions. Medical staff gathered supplies for the expected casualties. Last crate loaded, a worker reported to Junseo. But there are still over 200 personnel on the station. Your ship can't take them all. Junseo knew the Phantom could only carry about 50 extra people besides its regular crew. Start evacuation procedures. Load as many as we can. Prioritize key research personnel. Send out distress calls to any human ships in range. As they worked to load people onto the Phantom, the first explosions rocked the station. The Artaxians had begun their attack. "Commander," Su-min called out. "We can't wait any longer. The disruptor must reach the fleet." Jun-seo looked at the frightened faces of the station personnel still waiting to board. Then he looked at the crates containing the disruptor device. "How important is this device really?" he asked Su-min. "It could be the difference between human survival or extinction," she replied without hesitation. "With it, we can shut down their entire communication network. Without it, they'll eventually find all our hidden bases." Jun-seo made his choice. "Get on board. We leave in 2 minutes." They managed to load 43 scientists and staff before they had to seal the doors. As the Phantom disengaged from the station, Jun-seo watched the Artaxian ships continuing their attack. "Set course for the rendezvous point with the fleet," he ordered. "Maximum speed." "Sir," his second-in-command said quietly. "We can't outrun those Artaxian warships. They're faster than we are." Jun-seo knew he was right. The Phantom was built for stealth, not speed in a straight chase. "Can we use the phase shift?" he asked. The engineering officer shook her head. "Not for at least another hour. The system needs time to recharge after our last use." Jun-seo turned to Su-min. "You said your device disrupts communications. Could it do anything against those ships?" Su-min's eyes widened. "Possibly. It was designed to target their quantum communication network, but it might affect their ship systems too. It's never been tested in combat." "No time like the present," Jun-seo said. "Can you get it working?" "I'll need about 10 minutes, Su-min replied, already moving toward her equipment. "Sir, Artaxian ships are gaining on us," the sensor officer reported. "They'll be in weapons range in 12 minutes. "Push the engines to maximum," Jun-seo ordered. "We need to buy time." For the next 10 minutes, the Phantom raced through space with the Artaxian warships closing in. Jun-seo watched the distance between them shrink on his tactical display. Finally, Su-min called from the cargo bay. "It's ready, but I don't know what will happen when I activate it. The effect could be small or very large." "We're out of options," Jun-seo replied. "Do it." There was a moment of silence, then a strange hum filled the ship. On the tactical display, Jun-seo watched in amazement as the Artaxian ship suddenly slowed, then stopped completely. "What's happening?" he asked. "Their power systems are shutting down," the sensor officer reported in disbelief. "All of them. They're just floating." Jun-seo turned to his communications officer. "Are they sending distress signals?" "No, sir. All communication from them has stopped. It's like they've gone completely dead." Su-min appeared on the bridge, her face flushed with excitement. "It worked better than we expected. The disruptor doesn't just block communications, it interrupts their entire power distribution network." Jun-seo stared at the now helpless Artaxian ships. "How long will they stay like that?" "Hard to say. Hours, maybe?" This was just a prototype. Jun-seo turned to his crew. The implications were enormous. For the first time, humans had a weapon that could neutralize even the most powerful Confederation ships without destroying them. "Set course for the fleet," he ordered. "We need to get this technology to command immediately." As the Phantom sped away from the disabled Artaxian ships, Jun-seo felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not just hope, but confidence. The human resistance was no longer just surviving. It was starting to win. "It worked," Su-min whispered, staring at the screen showing the dead Artaxian ships. "They can be beaten." 17 years had passed since Earth went silent. What began as scattered survivors had become a united human force to be feared. Admiral Hyun-ki Ryu stood on the bridge of the HSV Resurgence, the largest human warship ever built. Around him, officers worked at their stations, their movements quick and confident. They wore uniforms with a new symbol, a silent Earth with stars surrounding it. "Status report," Hyun-ki said, his deep voice filling the bridge. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his first officer. "The fleet is in position." Hyun-ki nodded and looked at the main screen. It showed hundreds of human ships gathered near the rendezvous point. Some were large warships, others were small, fast attack vessels. All of them had been built or captured during the long years of fighting. "And our special guest?" Hyun-ki asked. Dr. Da-Yun Moon is in the science lab, making final adjustments to the phase synchronization array. She says it will be ready on time. Hyun-Ki checked the time. 6 hours until the moment they had all been waiting for. The day Earth would return. Over the years, the war with the Confederation had changed. At first, humans had only run and hidden. Then they learned to strike back, in quick, surprising attacks. Now they controlled entire sectors of space. The Volturi had been the first to seek peace. After losing too many ships to human phase-shift raiders, they signed a treaty 3 years ago. The Meridians followed soon after, choosing neutrality over continued fighting. Only the Artaxians, the most powerful of the Confederation species, still refused to give up. Their pride wouldn't let them admit that humans, a species they had once looked down on, could defeat them. Hyun-Ki walked to the large window at the front of the bridge. In the distance, he could see the faint light of Earth's sun, Seoul. Somewhere near that light was humanity's home, still hidden by the phase-shift technology that had protected it for 17 years. "Admiral," his communications officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from Artaxian High Command." This was unexpected. "Put it through," Hyun-Ki ordered. The main screen changed to show an Artaxian leader. His gray skin looked pale, and his 3 eyes blinked nervously. "Admiral Ryu," the Artaxian said, "I am High Commander Vexnar of the Artaxian Defense Force. I wish to discuss terms." Hyun-Ki raised an eyebrow. "Terms? For what?" "For ending this conflict," Vexnar said. "Too much blood has been spilled. Too many ships lost. We are prepared to recognize human independence and sovereignty over your current territories." Just a few years ago, such an offer would have seemed impossible. The Artaxians had been determined to crush all human resistance. Now they were asking for peace. "Why now?" Hyun-Ki asked. "After all these years of fighting?" Vexnar looked uncomfortable. "Our long-range sensors have detected unusual energy readings from the Sol system. We believe you are planning something significant. Before any further escalation occurs, we wish to reach an agreement." So they knew something was happening, but not exactly what. They were afraid. "I will bring your offer to the Human Coalition Council," Hyun-Ki said, "but I make no promises. Today is not a good day for negotiations." After the transmission ended, Hyun-Ki turned to his first officer. "They're scared. They know something is coming, but not what. Should we delay the operation?" the first officer asked. Hyun-Ki shook his head. "No, we've waited 17 years for this day. Earth returns today as planned." 5 hours later, Hyun-Ki stood in the science lab with Dr. Da-Yun Moon. She was a small woman with quick hands and sharp eyes. For the past 10 years, she had worked on the technology that would bring Earth back. "Is it ready?" Hyun-Ki asked. Da-Eun nodded. "The phase synchronization array is fully operational. When Earth begins its return shift, we'll use this to maintain communication during the transition." "And you're sure it will work?" "As sure as I can be," Da-Eun said. "We've tested the technology on smaller objects, but nothing this big has ever been shifted in or out of phase before." Hyun-Ki looked at the complex machine that filled the center of the lab. It hummed with power, lights blinking across its surface. "How will we know when it starts?" he asked. "We'll know," Da-Eun said simply. An hour later, Hyun-Ki was back on the bridge. All officers were at their stations. The countdown timer on the main screen showed less than 5 minutes remaining. "All ships report ready," the first officer said. "The fleet is in defensive formation around the synchronization point." Hyun-Ki nodded. They didn't expect trouble, but they were prepared for it. If the Artaxians tried anything, they would regret it. "Sir," the sensor officer suddenly called out, "we're detecting Confederation ships entering the sector. A lot of them." "How many?" Hyun-Ki asked. "At least 50 warships. Mostly Artaxian, but some Meridian too." Hyun-Ki frowned. "I thought the Meridians were neutral now." "Apparently not all of them agree with that decision," the first officer said. Open a channel to all human ships, Hyun-Ki ordered. When the channel was open, he spoke clearly. This is Admiral Ryu. Maintain positions. Do not engage unless fired upon. Today, Earth returns. Nothing will stop that. As the countdown reached 1 minute, the Confederation ships formed a line facing the human fleet. Neither side fired, but both were ready. 30 seconds, the operations officer announced. Hyun-Ki felt his heart beating faster. 17 years of waiting. 17 years of fighting and building and planning. And now finally the moment had come. Energy readings spiking in the Sol system, the sensor officer reported. Something big is happening. 10 seconds and in 5, 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a bright flash lit up the entire bridge. On the main screen, a massive energy wave spread outward from where Earth should be. Phase shift reversing. Da-Yun's voice came over the comm from the science lab. Synchronization holding. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. Then slowly, an image formed on the main screen. Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown, land. After 17 years it was back, but it wasn't alone. Around the planet were massive space stations and shipyards. Defensive platforms larger than anything humans had built before. And ships, thousands of ships all bearing Earth's new symbol. By the stars, the first officer whispered. The communications officer's console suddenly lit up. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. It's from Earth Central Command. Put it through, Hyun-Ki ordered, his voice barely steady. The main screen changed to show a woman in a uniform similar to their own, but with more decorations. Her face was strong, her eyes determined. This is General Min-ji Park of Earth Defense. Command to all human forces. Earth has returned. I repeat, Earth has returned. A cheer went up across the bridge. Some officers hugged each other. Others had tears in their eyes. General Park continued. To all Confederation vessels in this sector, Earth recognizes and appreciates the service and sacrifice of all human forces who fought during our absence. We stand with them. Any action against them is an action against Earth. Hyun-Ki watched as the Confederation ships began to pull back. They had come to stop what they feared, but now faced something far more powerful than they had imagined. Admiral Ryu, General Park said, now addressing him directly. Well done on holding the line. Earth has not forgotten its children. We have been busy during our time away. What happens now? Hyun-Ki asked. General Park's face softened slightly. Now we rebuild what was broken. Now we make a new peace. But on our terms, not theirs. The galaxy will learn that humanity is not to be underestimated. As the Earth fleet moved to join with the human forces that had fought so long, Hyun-Ki looked out at the stars. For 17 years, humanity had survived against impossible odds. They had fought when they were weak, adapted when they were outmatched, and never given up. And now, Earth had spoken again. The galaxy would never be the same. Set course for home, Hyun-Ki ordered. It's time we saw Earth again. As the resurgence turned toward the blue planet, a message went out across all human ships. It was short, but it said everything that needed to be said. Earth endures. Humanity prevails.